Hi, Dan Kurz, DK Analytics. It is still April 22nd, 2018. We're coming here with a brief adjunct to the video we just published, or in the process of trying to publish, on political, economic, and financial black swans that will, one of them or all of them in total, will bring down the values of bonds and stocks, that is the bubble valuations that I keep mentioning. And I think one thing I wanted to address as well, or bring into it, which I neglected to state, I'll do this in brief fashion, is we talked about politics possibly being the thing that erodes confidence, turns it into anxiety, has people run for the exits, so trumps anything central banks can do. And once that goes, then everything else is just a question of time, especially given the tendency of robotic trading systems, algorithms, and individuals to look at technical analysis, and something is broken as 30 or 60 or 90-day moving average, it's good to sell. So the cheaper it gets, the better the selling opportunity, which is obviously totally boneheaded, but that's the way it works when you no longer have price discovery by human beings with some sense of intelligence. Well, what I wanted to add into this mix is this. I mentioned in the other video that just made earlier today that we have lots of issues because the mighty mucks refuse to abide by the Constitution, the rule of law that they force on everybody else. And I keyed into the Obamacare absurdity and outrage as a good example. And I also mentioned James Comey, former FBI director, exonerating Hillary, putting on a chief cop hat and also the judge and the jury hat, and telling everybody that despite a preponderance of felonious actions on her behalf, I went through the list, that, she's not really guilty because she didn't mean any harm. But, and then he turned to America at large and said, but don't the rest of you Americans think that you could behave in such a manner and not end up behind bars? And that's when you know you no longer have a constitutional republic. You have tyranny. You have a banana republic, all right? And here's what I wanted to drill down into beyond that outrage, which apparently rings true to this day given what Mueller is doing. And the other outrage is when you have spending, which is supposed to be the power of the purses in the legislative branch, specifically in the House. And when you have spending that takes place that is determined by bureaucrats nestled in the executive branch, which is so hopeful in theory, because Trump can have a go at them, but again, they're very entrenched, ensconced in power, with the press and everybody else and the universities protecting their sustained reduction or evisceration of property rights and other constitutional rights. But when you have a $21 trillion accumulated spending history that has not gone through the legislative process and is sort of off the books, or it is off the books, it can't be accounted for. Way back in the Iraqi War with Donald Rumsfeld, we cannot account for $1 billion or $1 trillion of defense spending, all right? There is literally $21 trillion of unaccounted for federal government spending. That's more than 1 year's worth of GDP. And this has not taken place through approval by the Congress, however faulty that institution has become and how it has sat down on its job to uphold its Article 1 power, right, including the power of the purse. But let me just read you a piece out of Post 35 so that you get the full flavor. And what I'm trying to state here, it isn't just in terms of felonious behavior that is excused if it's conducted by the mighty, but it is also absolutely mind-bending, out of control, hidden spending that is going on without representation, without the House approving it. And that is not a rule of law situation, neither those two. That's how serious it is. And hopefully, if America and the people that are righteous can break through, this will help take down lots of other property right eviscerating bureaucracies, unconstitutional dictatorships. We see it with Brexit failing. We see it the EU. You even see it in Switzerland. You see it here. Hopefully this, if it does happen, I don't expect it to, but miracles are known to happen, this will bode well. But here, let me get you the particulars of the details of this horrendous amount of unaccounted for spending, most of it at the Department of Defense. Consider the 21 trillion in missing in action, not appropriated, unconstitutional federal outlays, the military portion of which is roughly 85%. Now, here's the Constitution. No money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law. An irregular statement, an accurate account of receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. That's Article 1 of the Constitution, Section 9, Clause 7. I wanted to add that into the mix. Thanks for listening. Over and out.